Good morning, multimedia. This is Mr. McCarthy. This should be the third video of your morning that you're watching. This is me right there. I've got that determined feeling to move through the day today. I hope you have that same feeling. Okay, so what we're doing today, or in this particular video, is I'm going to introduce you to InDesign. Before we do that, I'm going to ask you to collect two images. And these are going to be the images that you use for your first InDesign assignment. If you recall from the previous video on alignment, there were these crude representations of a flower and a bunny, and I'm going to ask you to go out to Google Land and find two images that you will use for this assignment. Okay? What I'd like you also to do is create a folder right up here called alignment and put your two images in there. So I'm going to be working with Blue Dog and Target for mine. Okay? One of them is a very large image, and the other one's a relatively small image. I would encourage you to save the smaller images. Okay, if you do choose a large image like I've done with Target, we'll be able to work with it. Okay, so go collect those images. Pause the video. Go collect those two images. Create an alignment folder. Put your two images in there. All right. All right. So pause. Okay, so by now you have collected your two images, you've created an alignment folder, and those two images are in there. All right, so what I'd like you to do now is go to your Launchpad and find InDesign. Now, I am currently working with InDesign CS5, and the reason for that is that's what's loaded on my laptop. They always say the best tools you have are the ones you have with you. I think I just butchered that. Your best tools are the ones that you have with you. Okay, so I'm working with CS5 InDesign. The interface is similar, but not exact to InDesign CC that you are working with in the Mac lab today. Let's go ahead and open up InDesign. And here we go. All right, so again, your interface is going to look a little bit different. You want to find the area where you're going to create a new document. All right, go ahead and click that. And the first box that pops up is going to allow you to set some of your parameters or to adjust the ones that show up by default. Okay, the one thing I want you to search out for is orientation, and we're going to switch from portrait mode here to landscape. So go ahead and do that, and then go ahead and start your file. Okay, here is my landscape documents. All right, and we are just going to get right into it. There's a couple of things I want to point out to you. Let me just double check something. Okay, so you should have these two rulers. Okay, so this measurement tape that runs horizontally across the top, and then a second one that runs vertically up and down. Okay, and if you pay attention, you notice that wherever you move your cursor, there's a line that follows you here, and there's a line that follows you here. Okay, it helps you to measure items out in the middle of your document. Okay, for our purposes, we're going to use this to pull some guides down. Okay, and if you recall from our previous video, there were a number of lines that they used for guidelines. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull out our vertical guidelines first. So I'm going to do that by going right in the middle area right here of my ruler. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to pull one of those guidelines right out of the side. So I'd like you to do that. Okay, we're going to need a second guideline, so we're going to go again right in the middle of that ruler, pull it out. Okay, and for this assignment, we can just eyeball this. So we're looking for a space on the left side that's similar to a space on the right side. I'm going to adjust that a little bit, bring it inside. That looks pretty close to me. Okay, and then we're going to do the same up top. We're going to pull down here. All right, and then we're going to pull another one Okay, so this is going to be the space where we put our word alignment. This is where we're going to align one image. This is where we're going to align the other image. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and type out the word alignment. In InDesign, excuse me, you need to draw a text box in order to start typing a word. Okay, so if you recall from the previous video, alignment was spelled out in lowercase. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to find myself a good font. I'm going to ask you to use the same good font that I'm using. Oops, there we go. And that good font is Avenir. So if you would use Avenir, in this case it says book. I'd like you to use book as well. Okay? All right. So I've switched my font to Avenir. We are currently at 12 point in size, and I need it larger because I want it to extend from this side all the way to this side. Okay? And the most basic way to do that would be to go right up here and to choose, whoops, hold on a second here, to choose the largest font offered, which is 72. And then notice what happens. The word doesn't fit inside this box. And we know that because of the hyphen. We also know that because of this little red cross in a box here. That red cross tells us that there's more inside the text box than shows. Okay? So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to open up this text box, and it's going to show me the whole word. Okay? So if I close that text box and go big time, I don't see anything, but that red cross tells me there's something inside. I simply need to expand to find my word. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move this up. I'm on the Move tool, and with the Move tool, there's a couple things I want to point out. If you hover in the middle, there's going to be a circle that shows up. It's not working for me right now, but it basically looks... it's not working the way I expect it to here. You'll see it if you... Okay, well, take my word for it. In CS, there is going to be a circle here. If you click the circle, this rectangle is going to turn brown. And when that happens, you start to enter into difficult territory. So let's be sure that when you move things, you're clicking on the edge of the box, and you're moving the edge of the box to this area. I'll explain more about that when I return next week. Okay, so here's what I've done. I've put alignment, and I've aligned, and I'm using the arrows on my keyboard to just nudge a little bit there. Okay, so the A is aligned perfectly to the left side. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the keys on my keyboard, Command Shift. I'm holding Command Shift down, and now I'm going to click and enlarge my word. This is the quick and easy way to adjust the size of your word. So Command Shift and then pull a corner. And I've just enlarged the word alignment. Now I'm going to move alignment back to the baseline with the arrows on my keyboard. So I'm nudging down, and there I am. Okay, so alignment. When your toolbar probably looks like this. It's one long thin column. What I would like you to do is to click these two arrows right here. Whoops, not like that, like this, to create two columns. And the reason for this is these two boxes that line up right next to each other on the bottom. Right now we see the margins in red, we see the guidelines in light blue, and that's not what it's going to look like when it prints. Remember, InDesign is it's software that's used to create print documents. So let's take a look at what it's going to look like when it prints. So we're going to click this box for that preview. And you see, this is all that's going to print. So all of these guides and margins, they're used to help us set up our document. Okay? Let's move ahead. We're going to go. I'm going to go ahead and put my blue dog down. Okay, and I'm going to align my blue dog on the left side here. I'm going to put 3 of them on the left. And so here we go. To place, you can go up to File, Place, but it's a lot quicker if you just do a Command D. So I'm going to do that instead. So Command D opens up my box. I'm going to navigate to my alignment folder. I'm going to find my blue dog. I'm going to select it. I'm going to click Open. And then notice what happens. My cursor changes and blue dog is attached to my cursor. If I click once, there it is. I get the full size of the image. Now, based on the size of my document, this is a little bit too big. So I'm going to do a Command Z, and then notice what happens. It puts it back into my cursor, which is super awesome. And what I'm going to do, instead of just clicking it once, is I'm going to draw a box with it. And there's the size of the blue dog that I want. Let's see what it's going to look like at print. There it is. Okay. I've just suddenly realized that my alignment's a little bit low. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to click. I'm going to move my alignment up. Now I realize that throws my guidelines off. So I'm going to adjust my guidelines. In this case, we're kind of working backwards, up. And I just want to create more space for my graphics. I'm going to move my dog up. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down. If I use the arrows on my keyboard, it nudges really quickly. But if I hold the Shift key down and do it, I get faster movements. This is a good way to move things around and keep them along a designated plane. Okay. So what I could do right now is I could Command D, put my blue dog down. I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to try and get the same size box here. There it is. Awesome. Command D. I'm going to get my blue dog. And I'm going to line it up. And there it is. Okay. 3 blue dogs. Those are good looking dogs. Alright. I'm going to select all 3 of them. I'm going to just nudge them all 3 up. See how you do that? Select all 3 by drawing a box outside and touching each of those. Alright, there is my blue dog. It looks like it kind of overlaps there a little bit, but if I come back and check, it's lining up perfectly. Again, my alignment, left side of the A, left side of the dog. Alright, now what I'm going to do, come back to, what is this mode called? Normal view. And now I'm going to put my 3 targets down. So I'm going to go Command D. Here's my target. Click Open. And this is an incredibly large image. Let's see how big it is. I'm just going to click once. Whoa, way too big. All right. So what I could do is try and wrestle with this and reshape it to the right size. But as we learned previously, if I just simply draw a box with it, I can get it to the right size. Now that's a little bit small for me, so I do want to adjust it larger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover right here, just as I did previously with alignment. I'm going to hold down the Shift and Command, click, hold. I'm just going to draw it into a larger size. I'll go, doesn't have to be the same size as your other image, but that's going to work for me. Okay, so if I put the image size on the right there, notice what happens. When I go to check regular view, notice the alignment doesn't work. I want the edge of my target here to align with the right side of that T. And what's happening is the edge of the image is aligning with the right side of the T, but it's not going to print that way. I won't see that edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here, and I have my target selected. I'm just going to move it over and then put the actual graphic on that right side. And there we go. Take a look. That's looking a lot better. Okay. Here's a shortcut for you. I've already got the size of the target the way I want it. So I'm going to do a Command C for copy, Command V for paste. Okay, so I've just copied the exact size There's my two targets. Command V again. There's my third. And it appears as if I might be running out of space on the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to select all three. Then with Command Shift, I'm going to adjust the size of all three. We'll go a little bit smaller. I'm going to bring it back over. And there we go. All right. So if I look at it, I feel like I'm almost done. One of the things I need to do is I need to align the top of my dog with the top of the target, and it looks as if it might be off. So I'm going to pull my guideline down a little. I'm just going to catch the top of that dog's ear, and it is a little bit off. So I'm going to select my three targets, and I'm just going to nudge. I'm just going to nudge it down. There it is. Okay. See what it looks like. Hey, guess what? I've got a completed assignment. It's not entirely completed. We'll complete the rest of it on Tuesday when I see you next. But what I'd like to do right now is we're going to save that. So we're going to go File, Save As. Where are we saving it to? That's right. We're saving it to our alignment folder. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save it there. Actually, let's do that again. File, Save As, and we're going to call it Alignment. So right up here, let's name it Alignment. INDD stands for InDesign. I'm going to end up having two InDesign files in there, and that's not necessarily what I want. So I will come back afterwards, come to my desktop, Alignment, and I will get rid of that untitled one. Okay, and you are done with your exercise for today. Okay, if you missed some element, if the finished product does not align on the left, align on the right, and align at the top of these two. In fact, I'm going to move these two guys down just a little bit. They're all moving together, so the alignment's going to move with them. That's looking a little bit better. All right, it's Mr. McCarthy signing off.